they just flat out ran into a buzzsaw. So Purdue, the top seed there in the Midwest, on to the Sweet 16 in Detroit next weekend. They will get the 5 seed Gonzaga. Man, we saw Utah State all season long. Great Osibor. You could see, though, and Wally talked about this over on CBS earlier today. I heard him discussing Great Osibor. 20 minutes into the game, the body language wasn't right. You could tell he was completely overmatched. Everybody is in terms of size against Zach Edey, but you could see it in his body language, see it on his face. And from that entire team, they were not in the same stratosphere on this particular day as Purdue.
Was that before he picked him to win or after?
I hope he can hear us.
Okay, he can't hear us. You know what? Sometimes, in those situations, you get into the game. We talk about Wisconsin versus JMU the other day, and JMU just put the paws on him and got after him, and Wisconsin never felt like they was in it. At the end of what happened with Utah State is they were like, whoa, okay, this is different. You can look at film on Zach Edey, and all of a sudden, there's no way you can replicate that. You got Roy Hibbert sitting next to me at 7'2". You can't replicate Roy walking into the room and ducking down every time and how big he is until all of a sudden you're like, wow, we got to play against this guy. And guess what else? He's a double-double waiting to happen. He's going to be the 2-time player of the year since Ralph Sampson, the college player of the year. You can't replicate that. And, oh, by the way, you put some shooters around him like Braden Smith. Like, Purdue is very good. They're very good, and I think Utah State had a great season, but I think they ran up against a buzzsaw against a team who has something to prove, GP. They have something to prove, and it's very, very difficult to play against a team, particularly when it's not your day.
First on Utah State, and you heard Danny Sprinkle say it, they just ran into a buzzsaw. And this is obviously not ideal for the Mountain West Conference. There's going to be a little bit of piling on. But keep in mind, most people, myself included, thought on Selection Sunday that Utah State was underseeded. If you get a better seed than an 8, which is what I think they deserve, you don't have to play Purdue in the second round, and all of this could look different. As it is, they had to play Purdue, and it got overwhelming for them. Deep into the first half and the entire second half, Edey was terrific. And then they just destroyed them on the offensive boards. Offensive rebounding percentage was 43.3%. If that was their season average, that would rank number 1 nationally. So when they're making shots from the perimeter, getting second opportunities on the offensive glass, they're just tough to deal with. This Purdue team, I don't know if they'll win the national championship. I'm certain they're good enough to do it.
I like what I saw from Purdue. All year long, I've been like a broken record saying, don't just force feed it to Edey. Let other guys shine. And, tonight, Trey Kaufman, he did a real good job, 18 points, 8 rebounds. Fletcher Laurie had 15 and 6, so he's attacking it at the same time. Braden Smith didn't have a great game, but you know what? He took 7 shots on the night, and so that's important for him to keep getting those reps up. But the big thing for me was like 35 or 40 points from the bench. I don't want to say I want to knock on wood, but when they've heavily relied on Edey, he's one ankle sprain, hopefully not away from sitting on the bench, maybe sitting out a game. But when you have a game like this where you blow them out, people can get some reps up, they can get some shots up, so they can get ready for next couple games.
Next matchup is the 5 seed Gonzaga. Before we specifically talk the matchup, Chris, I'll go to you first. How big of a relief is it for Matt Painter and his guys that they got out of the first weekend, based on what's happened in the big dance for them in the last 3 years? They're out of the first weekend, take a breath, have a few days to get set up for the Sweet 16.
I think it's a huge relief, and, guys have been, or people, shall I say, have been very critical of them, myself included, about what they have not been able to accomplish during the NCAA tournament. And as I said before, a lot of these mid-major team or one mid-league teams, they're trying to get to the tournament. Purdue is trying to win the national championship. Completely different expectations. Not like Big Blue, not like North Carolina, but for Matt Painter, it might as well be this year with Zach Edey being his last year in the group that he has around them. I think if they get to the Elite 8, all the demons will be cast away. But again, they have to beat Gonzaga in the next round for people to feel like, okay, we've done something in the NCAA tournament. Matt, we'll take the heat off.
You've got it exactly right. Kentucky pressure, Duke pressure, Carolina pressure, that's a different level of pressure nationally. But I don't know that anybody in this particular tournament is dealing with more pressure than Purdue, Zach Edey, and, of course, Matt Painter, because of the way recent NCAA tournaments have gone, especially last season. Now, just to answer your initial question, Stove, I think there's an incredible sense of relief with them. They're not where they need to get, and they're not where they want to go, but they have now put themselves in a position where they can't lose to a mid-major anymore. That's all behind them. Next up is Gonzaga. After that, if they were to win, it'd be Creighton, Tennessee. there's nothing left but great teams in their region, and they're the best of the bunch.
As a player, sitting in that locker room, obviously after they lost, last year the way they did, you want to just say, I'm going to block out the noise. Whatever people are saying about the coach's job, whether Edey should come back or anything like that, you need to make sure you focus this on what you need to do. And I think they're doing that. They're making shots. Edey's getting the ball down low, finishing strong. So that's all you can relate on. And last year they ran into an FDU team that was hit a hot streak, and he had a bad night. So at the same time, they're well on their way. They have a good foundation, offensive rebounding, they're shooting, everybody's moving the ball, but you take it one game at a time.
Let me just say this, I don't want to underscore, Danny Sprinkle did an unbelievable job this year, bringing no points back, right? Being the coach of the year and winning the Mountain West, a league with 6 teams. We have to make sure we say that they just ran up against a buzzsaw. Now, Purdue is going to play against Gonzaga. Now, you watch Great Alcibar play the game, right? And you watch the way Zach Edey played off of him. You're not going to be able to do that against Gonzaga. Gonzaga's bigs can make threes. That's what's going to be interesting. The other thing is, can they keep Nembhard out of the lane? He only made 1 shot and no threes, and he dominated the game with his penetration. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, those guys are going to have to play, and they're going to have to really do a good job of keeping those Gonzaga guards out of the lane, or more importantly, if they try to move Zach Edey around. So you have to move, GP, you got to move Zach Edey around. He's going to be in drop coverage. He's going to be like Kalkbrenner. He's going to be a goalie, and you're going to have to make those shots off handoffs because he's not going to be up there. And if he is up there, you got to punish him the way they punish UK, Kentucky, UK, Kansas, and they beat both of those teams. So it's going to be a similar game plan of how to guard Edey. The question is, what is Matt Painter going to do to stop Ryan Nembhard? I think he's the key for Gonzaga.
This is going to be a fabulous matchup because Gonzaga hasn't always looked the part this season, but in this NCAA tournament so far, they have back-to-back 20-point victories. The issue for the Zags, I think, is going to be, though, they can attack Purdue in different ways. EK's still 6'9". That's still awfully small to be having to deal with the front court that Purdue's going to put in front of you. And it's been obvious all season. It's been crystal clear today. Though Zach Edey is the centerpiece of everything, and it would be crazy if he wasn't, they've got really good pieces all around him. They are better equipped, Purdue is, this season with those sophomore guards instead of freshman guards and other pieces around them. They're just better equipped to handle an off night from Zach Edey or Gonzaga trying to do anything to put Zach Edey in uncomfortable situations. Braden Smith can beat you. Fletcher Lawyer can beat you. They've got a lot of different weapons this time.
I'll just say this. If they go small, you mentioned EK, he goes out of the game. Now Watson, now Huff. Now he has to guard those guys. Like, it's going to have to be some type of strategy there because, big fella, you know that there's no way EK is going to be able to score against Edey. So you're going to have to play small because the teams that have beat them are small teams.